A free COVID-19 testing pilot program being launched in Inagua, a new SIRS amendment for Grand Bahama and Abaco, and the government is considering booster shots for the COVID-19 vaccine. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tyler Simonet with your JCN News for this Tuesday, October 19th. It's good having you with us. That free COVID testing pilot program that the Ministry of Health and Wellness spoke of on Monday will begin in Inagua, one of those family islands experiencing an uptick in COVID cases. Leah Cooper has more.
Free COVID-19 testing, a promise made by the new government on the campaign trail, will come into effect on Wednesday in Inagua, according to Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville. He says the government will be combining their efforts with the private sector in this regard because the public sector is strained at this time. As for a timeline, Dr. Darville says this.
We anticipate our launch will start effectively tomorrow in Inagua. But again, there's a few small logistical issues that we're putting together, and hopefully I would have the exact departure time for that particular team later on today. But this is our plan, to be in Great Inagua tomorrow and set up testing areas in 2 different sites, and to make sure that we have the necessary social distancing. And from there, they will be on Inagua for Thursday, and we'll be departing on Friday. And likewise, we will definitely be announcing when we're going to do it in North Eleuthera, when we're going to do it in the Berry Islands, when we're going to do it in South Eleuthera. And this is all a part of our pilot program for free testing. And the beauty about this pilot program, we can use smaller sample sizes and tweak what we plan to do at the national level.
And it's safe to say that lockdowns are a thing of the past. According to Dr. Darville, stricter restrictions are needed, but lockdowns aren't on the table.
Lockdowns is not an option. It is basically monitoring and ensuring that we are able to ensure that our clusters are protected, and so surveillance. And so we need the Royal Bahamas Police Force, because the Ministry of Health, we create policies. We are not involved in enforcement of our policies. The Ministry of National Security, which encompasses the police and the COVID police, are the ones who must be responsible to ensure that the clusters that we have walled off are maintained, and to ensure that the public health measures are maintained throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And I can tell you, we have had reports coming in from North Eleuthera that sometimes we have tourists who come to the island and they're not wearing masks. We have to tighten our restrictions to make sure that our public health care measures are adhered to.
There's now 23 to 28 individuals in quarantine on North Eleuthera, according to Dr. Darville. Here's the figures for the Berry Islands.
But in the Berry Islands, there is a cluster that we're monitoring. I sent in 4 police officers. My team from contact tracing was also there. And as a result of it, we have come back with a new plan. And that new plan is begin to activate our free testing program in the Berry Islands, North Eleuthera, and Inagua.
He adds that he, along with the Minister of National Security, are working out the kinks surrounding the relaunch of a digital platform for quarantined individuals. Dr. Darville adds that he will be speaking about that in short order. Yesterday, National Security Minister Wayne Munro indicated that additional officers were also sent to North Eleuthera, the Berry Islands, and Inagua over the weekend to assist with COVID enforcement. Reporting for JCN News, I'm Leah Cooper.
Health officials will be led by the science regarding booster shots for the COVID-19 virus. Dr. Michael Darville tells reporters this much following the Food and Drug Administration's advisors backing a booster shot for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and PAHO encouraging booster shots for individuals with immunodeficiencies.
If we have international consultants telling us that the booster shot is essential, and that's being said in the public domain, that is something that we need to follow the guidelines. We know that with the Johnson & Johnson, there was a report some time ago that indicated that the Johnson & Johnson single shot, if you take a second Johnson & Johnson shot, your ability and better immunological response to COVID is even greater. Likewise, the addition with Jcn Tv and Pfizer. So we're fully aware of what's happening internationally, and it is our responsibility to adhere to the rules and regulations and follow them closely.
Assistant Director of PAHO, Dr. Jarbas Barbosa, speaking by way of a translator last week at the organization's weekly press briefing, said that third dose preferentially should be given with the same vaccine that an individual received their first and second dose with. However, if there is no access to that particular vaccine, then another approved vaccine will still prove effective. In our national COVID-19 update, COVID-19 cases continuing to trend downward. The Ministry of Health and Wellness reporting a combined total of 596 RT-PCR tests completed between Sunday, October 17th and Monday, October 18th, resulting in a total of 70 new infections over the course of 2 days. 58 new cases on New Providence, 1 with history of travel within 14 days, 4 new cases on Grand Bahama, 3 on Eleuthera, 2 on Abaco, 2 on Inagua, 1 with history of travel, and 1 case with location pending. Total confirmed cases in country now at 22,048. 1,175 are active cases. Hospitalizations still in the triple digits, with 113 hospitalized, 95 moderately ill, while 18 of them are in intensive care. A total of 91 people recovered over the 2 days. Total recoveries now at 20,065. With Category 5 Hurricane Dorian causing scores of Grand Bahamians and Abaconians to face tremendous loss, and as those islanders continue to try to rebuild their lives, immediate relief for those who were affected by the storm in September of 2019, no matter where they may now reside, is here. The Minister for Grand Bahama, Ginger Moxie, in a statement on new amendments to the Special Economic Recovery Zone, or SERS order, says this administration has considered the fact that many of these island residents would have since relocated and are faced with financial constraints that limited their ability to replace their vehicles within the original timeline of the SERS order. The amendment to SERS now providing for all vehicles imported conditionally duty-free into Grand Bahama and Abaco are approved to be transferred anywhere in the Bahamas without prior approval and payment of customs duties. Further, all approvals that were previously issued for importation of replacement vehicles under SERS and have not been used by the applicant may now be applied toward the importation of a vehicle duty-free. The Ministry of Grand Bahama noting that in the event no prior approval was issued for the importation of replacement vehicle, applicants can now be made at the Office of the Ministry and the Office of the Prime Minister in Marsh Harbor, Abaco. Olympic gold medalist Ramon Miller ran a spectacular anchor leg on the men's 4x4 relay that won gold in London in 2012. And on Monday, he was featured in one of the local dailies, lamenting the fact that he feels unappreciated by his own country. Sportscaster Jarino Saunders tells us why the Olympian is seeking help.
4x400 relay Olympic star Ramon Miller has been sorely frustrated after repeated and unsuccessful efforts to have the government install infrastructure, namely electricity and water, for his tropical gardens home built on land gifted by the government in 2014. In 2018, Mr. Miller, who is also a police officer, completed his home on the 20,000 square feet property. The problem that Miller now faces is unfortunately the same problem faced by the Golden Girls, who were also gifted property by the government where there is no infrastructure. On Tuesday, just before the weekly cabinet briefing, Alfred Sayers, Minister of Works and Utilities, says the government is aware of this problem.
I was briefed on this matter 2 weeks ago. I subsequently had a conversation with the mother of Mr. Ramon Miller and also with someone else, and on Friday I received a correspondence.
Minister Sayers says the staff at the Ministry of Works recognizes the problem as well and see it as a project they must complete. He says that he has put a plan in motion using multiple government ministries that should bring a solution to this matter.
Last week I sent a note to the Minister of Housing, and I also sent a note to the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, and I proposed to them that I will prepare a cabinet paper in consultation with them so that we can ask for the funding. And I will be taking the proposal for funding. That is the issue. The issue is funding. and in consultation with my colleagues, that is Youth, Sports and Culture, Housing, and make an application so that this long-standing problem could be solved.
After learning that government funding was the main roadblock, a desperate Miller offered to pay for the infrastructure to be installed. However, Sears explains that the process does not work that way when dealing with government-owned subdivisions.
The infrastructure, it's a government subdivision, and in any developer of a subdivision has the responsibility of putting in the infrastructure. And this is the premise upon which I am proceeding. And I'm not interested in who didn't do this or who didn't do that. Today, the Bahamian people have given us the responsibility, and we're going to solve it.
Chirino Saunders for JCN News.
You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.